when someone is unable to see, let's call it collateral damage, where they're so busy doing something, or they're so focused or intent or strong at something that they can't see what's happening around them. One of the things, here's some things that don't work. Dropping hints doesn't tend to work. When someone is focused and intent and they're getting a lot of feedback that says you're doing it right, subtle hints doesn't tend to work. What tends to work a lot better, singular, clear issues. Like, no, like, I have not a bunch of little things. I've got something that I need you to hear. That tends to work better. The other thing that doesn't tend to work well in these situations is opinions. Well, I think, and maybe is it, and I think in these situations, what I have seen, certainly from coaching, is a body of evidence, something that speaks for itself, that's not emotional, that kind of creates this whole, like, it helps people see what's in the sidelines. And
versus an opinion is,
well, I think this.
Yeah, somebody comes to you and say, hey, listen, I think you could speak a little less in that meeting, in your meetings.
Yeah, or like my experience. And we're going to talk later about the importance of understanding people's opinions and perspectives and experience with something. But usually that's not the best approach when someone just, they're not seeing.
Yeah.
And I always think of, my son Christian, who used to come into the house like with lumber. Like, he would come in, he was a little dude, and he'd be carrying like a 2x4. And we're like, be careful with that in the house. And he's like, huh? What? And like, he's whacking and knocking things over, but he just doesn't see it because he is like, I'm going to go build something.
Yeah.
I think it reminded you of one of our very favorite leaders.
So for those of you that have read Multipliers, you will have read this story about Bill Campbell. Bill Campbell, and I'll go ahead and share the slide. If you haven't read this tribute to Bill, there's a great book out there that some Googlers did on Bill Campbell. Eric Schmidt was the CEO for years, and Rosenberg and Eagle's a writer, and Rosenberg, they teamed up to write this tribute. And there's a lot of really amazing stories in there about Bill, but the one that we want to share with you today is it was his journey of becoming aware of the way that he was diminishing his team. And so I tell you what we're going to do. I'm going to play a video let me just make sure that I've got the video.
Now, as you're setting that up, I want to put a little plug in for this. I did not know this until years after the fact. And actually several years after Bill passed away, is the National Football Association came to me and said, there's only really one set of videos of Bill talking about leadership, like, in the whole world.
And it's the interviews that you did with him.
It's the interviews I did with him. And I didn't know this. I actually went out trying to Google like video, Bill Campbell leadership, and our own stuff popped up. So we've shared this with the Bill Campbell Trophy Summit and the National Football League, but it was a rare chance to go to Bill's office on California Avenue in Palo Alto and just sit down and talk with him.
I came from a background where with football, the more you knew, the better you were. And I think what you do in the situations that you're in, when you're management, you want to show everybody that you know everything. And so what you do is you kind of dominate the conversations, you tell people what you think, and you're not listening. And sooner or later it comes upon you that, I'm really screwing this thing up. I'm not getting the best ideas from the best people. And I think over a long period of my early career, as I look back on it, I was one of the great diminishers of all time. When I was at Apple, I was a diminisher, and yet, Donna Dubinsky, Randy Commissar, they really wanted to come and start a brand new venture with me, and we had a lot of fun. We were always close and good friends. And, they felt like at the end of my Apple time, I was getting somewhat better. And when I went to Claris and we started it, I went back to the same old way, dominating conversations, telling people what to do, making a lot of the decisions in the staff meetings. And, we had a brilliant management team, people that, you look at people that the caliber of Donna Dubinsky and Randy Commissar and the rest of them, Yogan Dalal, Dan McCammon, a lot of people were like that. And so Donna was sent to me as an emissary from the group and sat down with me one afternoon and said, "You're back to your old ways. You're not letting us do the jobs that we were hired to do. If we can't participate with you, then it's not going to be any fun being here. If you're going to make every decision and manage everything yourself, then this company's never going to be great and we're never going to enjoy it." Whew, what a blast. And it was one of those things that when you went home that night, you recognized, God, she did me a great favor, and I really had to go about making a behavior change. And, today, I don't believe I'm like that at all. But it didn't just happen overnight. You needed to be constantly reminded that you have a tendency to try to provide your knowledge and your expertise in a situation and not listen to people who really have either different ideas or even way more capable than you are at certain functions. I had to become a multiplier. Not an easy transition, but I've made it. And today, because it's such a revelation for me, and in terms of delegating and listening to management teams, I've spent a lot of my time coaching young companies and making sure they understand the concept.
Okay, this warms my heart, and I remember this moment so vividly, truly like it was yesterday. I went to go interview Bill Campbell to do a Multipliers interview. So I went going to hear about the amazing way he led and he's coached. And when he said, "Oh no, I was one of the great diminishers," I got this very different story from him. And that story and him and his evolution as a leader was made possible by what Donna did for him, not to him, but for him. Maybe I'd love to hear, Sean, what you see in this. What are the ingredients of helping Bill see what he could not see? Maybe what he was willing to do, but couldn't see. And I would love to see people on chat. What are the elements if we were going to kind of John Madden this, which is a metaphor that will appeal to certain people at a certain age, but if we were going to decompose the play, like a good football coach, and draw the lines, okay, this person went there, they blocked, they tackled, they did, what happened? What are all the elements that actually created this turning point for this really amazing leader who was causing some collateral damage? But what do you see in it? Everyone join in. And there's some really good insights in chat we're going to come back to. I've kind of marked them.
So, well, let me tell you a couple observations that I have that I love about that video. One is these people voluntarily left Apple to go work with Bill Campbell
in an unknown company.
So right off the bat, it makes me think, yeah, they must have really believed in Bill. So then to get to a place where they were wondering if they could do it anymore, could you imagine what the stakes were for them? They just left Apple,
right?
At the time was on this insane growth trajectory. That was when they really had kind of got past the turnaround and amazing things were happening. We've kind of got used to Apple just being the biggest and kind of wealthiest tech company in the world. This is in the makings of all this. They left that to go be with Bill, and they're to a place where they're thinking, we don't know if we can do this with you anymore.
And Donna's comment to Bill says a lot about why they left. I don't know that they left for more money, a bigger job, or even a bigger business opportunity. I think she's like, we came here. What was the exact language? Maybe someone else got it better than I did. We want to work with you. And I don't think they went to go work for Bill.
Yeah, they wanted to work with Bill.
They wanted to work with Bill. They wanted to have a voice. They wanted to create something. Most people join startups. And maybe those who do it very authentically join to go create something and build something together. I have a good friend who just went to go start something, to build something with someone else. And it turned out he was a little bit more minion
Yeah, but they're freaking out.
than builder.
Yeah. So you go build with somebody, and then all of a sudden you're not building, you're freaking out. So that's one thing that I noticed. What do we have in chat? While you take a look at that, I'll just think about another thing that is apparent to me that's interesting is I'm interested in this idea that he uses these words that Donna was sent to him as an emissary from the team.
It's powerful language, because what's implied in that as an emissary?
Yeah, I mean, they selected her, number one. So
Right.
she's been carefully selected.
She's a representative, and maybe because she's willing to go speak truth to power.
Yeah.
Maybe they selected her the way my siblings would say, why don't you go ask dad if we can do this?
It's one of those situations.
He'll say yes to you or something, which is like, and so maybe if she's going to be a little brazen, she's like, Bill, you know why they picked me is because I'm willing to tell you the truth, or that we have this relationship. I love you. And like, you know that. And so, but it's also like, I'm an emissary, meaning it's not just me, it's back to this body of evidence, which is there's more than a single data point here. And she's bringing that kind of in her attaché, so to speak.